It's now time for a round that's all about those advertising trailers for TV and radio programmes entitled Trail of the Lonesome Pun. In modern Britain, the world of television has to cater for all creeds and faiths, and Channel 4 recently launched the spin-off series Naked Attraction Uncut, the non-Jewish version of the programme. The people whose job it is to come up with ideas for radio and TV shows can be remarkably lazy with their programme titles. So I'll ask the teams to share examples of programmes where the content has been contrived to suit what someone thought would make a clever title. So, Miles, can you start, please?
Later tonight on BBC at 9 o'clock, a documentary about the time that Parliament was disrupted by a runaway elk that later turned out to be promiscuous. That is... There's a moose loose about this hoose.
And Pippa.
At 7 p.m. tonight, tiny insects discuss fashion accessories. That's Fleabag on BBC Two.
Stephen.
Later on Radio 4, we explore a prominent psychologist's take on the phallic nature of London's tallest building. That's Schadenfreude, later on Radio 4.
Tim.
After the break, Ben Fogle travels to Australia to discover if there's any truth at all in the legend of the 20-foot crocodile roaming Darwin's sewers. That's Ben Fogle and the giant crock of shit after the break.
Later on Radio 4, Bear Grylls recounts the story of the large shrimp that accidentally attached itself to his private parts. That's Bear Grylls' prawn cocktail tonight.
And tomorrow on Radio 4, Spice Girl Melanie Chisholm asks, can owning a sheepdog cure depression? That's Melancholy, later on Radio 4.
Richard Hammond travels round Britain to celebrate our seaside towns. That's Top Pier.
And talking of peers, Piers Morgan and Katie Hopkins visit Oxford to examine the Reverend Spooner's passion for the repair and maintenance of the city's traditional watercraft. That's Care of Punts, coming soon.
Coming up this evening, Ben Fogle takes his fossil hammer to Dorset's Jurassic Coast on a hunt for the perfect ammonite. That's Cracking One Out with Ben Fogle. Later this evening.
Meanwhile, on BBC One, Charlie Dimmock takes command of a squad of Coldstream Guards as they completely re-turf an entire rugby pitch in time for their crunch match against the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. That's Sod This for a Game of Soldiers.
Coming up on Channel 4, Prince Charles introduces Bear Grylls to the joys of abseiling. That's Come Dine With Me.
And Marcus. And now on Channel 4, Lord Baden-Powell and several of his scouts watch television while we watch them watching television. That's Wogglebox. Live on Channel 4. Pippa.
Later on Sky, family drama as a father decides which of his 4 children will inherit his fortune by seeing who can eat a whole bag of Murray mince the fastest. That's Succession at 9 p.m.
Andy.
On Saturday on BBC One, Claudia Winkleman and Tess Daly host the nation's favourite show. This week, there are contestants from the Ku Klux Klan, the Russian Mafia, the Triads, the Proud Boys, and a con man who steals money from old people. That's Strictly Scum Dancing after the news.
And now on the BBC, a team of vets travel around the countryside, turning everything they find into coleslaw. That's All Creatures Grated Small.
Over on ITV, your chance to enjoy a dirty weekend with one of this country's national treasures. It's Two Nights with Trevor McDonald.
On the BBC News Channel this morning, Prime Minister Boris Johnson confirms that building of the eastern leg of HS2 will go ahead. That's Would I Lie to You? After the headlines.
And now on the BBC, we conclude the series where a row of baby owls do all they can to solve police corruption. That's Line of Hootie. BBC One. Absolutely pathetic.
Tonight on 4, Paul, Hollywood and Prue Leith welcome 6 amateurs to the big marquee and judge who cooks up the best batch of crystal meth. That's Baking Bad at 8 o'clock.
Over on BBC Two now, there's an arena special where sculptor Anthony Gormley unveils his statue of the Russian leader made entirely from caramel. That's Anthony Gormley's Sticky Toffee Putin on tour.
John Finnemore.
And now on BBC Two, a heartwarming documentary in which every single worker at the old Clark's factory is reunited and taken on a special coach trip to revisit it. That's a complete load of old cobblers on BBC Two.
Vicki Pepperdine.
Now on Living TV, Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman host an all-new dominatrix dance show. Come Strictly.
John Culshaw.
Well, next on BBC One, and you can't touch this, it's off to the property auction in a 90s pop styly with Homes Under the MC Hammer.
Milton.
And now on CBBC, Playing with Scissors gets completely out of control with Autopsy and Tim.
New to Netflix, a gripping drama about Elizabeth II making her way in the male-dominated sport of welly throwing. That's The Queen's Gumboot on Netflix.
And a special now on BBC One, Jay Blades and the team have a challenge on their hands when Kim Kardashian brings in a much-loved but now almost unrecognisable bottom. That's the Celebrity Repair Shop.
And now on BBC One, more tales from those gangs in Birmingham that contain A4 bits of paper with the peaky ring binders.
Now in the season finale, let's join Matthew Corbett, Sue and Sweep as their yellow bear friend with black ears tackles police corruption. It's Line of Sooty.
And now on BBC One, it's time for soccer from the Chelsea Flower Show in Football Crocus.
Strong language from the outset as Freudian psychologists discuss the role of the Oedipus complex in the psychosexual development of the adolescent male. That's You Ain't Half Hot, Mum, coming up.
And now on Channel 4, we're going over to see how they're getting on with the repairs to Big Ben in Knackered Attraction.
On BBC Three now, it's the reality series featuring young people looking to form romantic and legally binding relationships with areas of completely empty space. That's Snog, Marry, Avoid.
And now a choice of viewing on BBC One. Hugh Fernley-Whittingstall presents a comprehensive guide to offal and how to cook it, while on BBC Two, Michael Portillo's trip on the Grand Union Canal is interrupted when he once again has to pump out the hull of his canal boat. So that's Complete Tripe on BBC One and The Usual Bilge on BBC Two.
Carnival time later on BBC One as a collection of celebrities and deserving members of the public come together to raise a glass on the occasion of Noel Edmonds' colonoscopy. That's Noel's arse party at 7.
Harry.
And now on Radio 4, a new panel game where teams from the Welsh town of Clywyd and the Hampshire town of Havant. Do you want the rest, or do you want to fill in the blanks yourself? Answer questions on each other's locale. That's, I'm sorry I haven't a Clywyd after the news.
Pippa.
Victoria Beckham tells her firstborn he cannot join the police force using her preferred second language. That's Brooklyn 99 at 9 o'clock.
And Graham.
A rare vintage treat from America tonight as Bud Abbott and Walter Cronkite go head-to-head in a quiz to see who is the brightest. 10 o'clock here on Channel 4, it's Bud is thicker than Walter.
Join TV presenter Steph McGovern as she talks about her battle with acne and a curvature of the spine. That's Steph's Pocked Hunch on Channel 4. Steph's Pocked Hunch.
Next, Steve Pemberton and Rhys Shearsmith return to our screens with a new series of dark tales featuring crime, betrayal, deceit and horror. Stay tuned for Inside Number 10.
A surprise discovery for Fern Britton in a moment on BBC Two when she finds that one cheeky contestant is hiding something rather unexpected in his carrier bag. That's Ready, Steady, Cock.
I was as surprised as you to hear that Her Majesty the Queen went for a curry after her coronation and was served a type of Indian flatbread that was folded and, if you like, braided in a certain way. Well, the good news is there's a new documentary about it here on BBC One. That's The Queen's Plaited Naan Jubilee with David Dimbleby.
A unique insight now into the mind of Prime Minister Boris Johnson as he seeks solutions to this country's spiralling inflation and accelerating slide into mass poverty. Yes, it's blankety blank.
New to Channel 4, a series where they help vets find suitable premises for a practice specialising in gelding German Shepherd dogs. That's location Alsatian castration on Channel 4.
Coming up on CBeebies, former President Donald Trump reads his adaptation of Michael Rosen's children's classic.
They're going on a witch hunt.
Pippa.
At 10:30 on 4, a group of Tibetan Buddhist monks come to terms with the fact that a recently acquired statue of their religious founder is in fact a life-size replica of MasterChef's Greg Wallace. See how the monks react in, I can't believe it's not Buddha.
Fred.
And now continuing our Dracula series, and in tonight's episode, the overweight count is found gorging, not in blood, but on sausage rolls, Scotch eggs and cucumber sandwiches. It's Vampire the Buffy Slayer at 10 p.m.
And John.
At 10:30, Newsnight investigates reports that Vladimir Putin's increasingly erratic and dangerous behaviour may be the result of a neurological condition affecting the electrical synapses of his brain. That's Newsnight, Putin on the Fritz, with Kirsty Wood.
In a new series for Radio 4, I'll be looking at the mating habits of primates in captivity. That's The Intimate Monkey Cage on Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.
Tonight on BBC One, a shocking health documentary reveals the serious risks associated with artificially boosting the production of semen. That's More Come Unwise tonight on BBC One.
Later on Radio 4, Will Gompertz presents a look at Van Dyck's masterpiece, The Court of King Charles II, and exciting new research that may allow experts to identify the enigmatic figure in black robes at the King's left, long suspected to be one of his many illegitimate children. That's Who's the Bastard in the Black after the
Time for a light-hearted music documentary now about the current status of the original members of Jim Morrison's famous rock band. That's Two Doors Down, tonight on Radio 2.
Later tonight, Jay Rayner travels to Perthshire to visit the remote village pub which is experimenting with putting whiskey on the bar pumps instead of beer. That's Pull the Other One, It's Got Bells on It.
Next on CBBC, a small bear sells off the 100-acre wood to a palm oil plantation. That's Pooh Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Pippa.
Good news for sports fans here on BBC One. Usain Bolt and Dwayne Chambers will be fully dressed and made up as Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy as they compete over 100 metres. That's RuPaul's WAG race tonight at 9.
Tony.
On Channel 4 tonight, Anna Richardson hosts a team of Home Office civil servants who'll be stripping off their clothes and competing to see who's best at removing sensitive material from official documents. That's Naked Redaction at 10.
Rory. Tonight, a Frozen Planet special, as we reveal the companies making millions exploiting the icy tundra. That's Cash in the Arctic, this Sunday at 8.
Next on Channel 4, Larry David teaches you how to deal with persistent erection syndrome by rubbing dill and parsley all over it. That's Herb Your Enthusiasm.
After the news, Prince Andrew tells us about the many friends he's made in America's most exclusive circles and in the Saudi arms trade. That's Embarrassing Buddies at 10:30.
Make sure you don't miss the extraordinary documentary series on Netflix featuring the legendary Joe Exotic and his eccentric attempts to introduce pickled cucumbers to Bangkok. That's Ty Gherkin on Netflix. I'm not sorry.
Hello, I'm Kate Adie. Join me this morning as we create an icing sugar model of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. That's from our own Boris fondant. After the news.
Tonight's Channel 4 Cost of Living programme travels to Eastern Europe to investigate the effects of power cuts in Warsaw. That's Poldark at 10 p.m.
On Gold Later, the classic World War II sitcom set in Nazi-occupied France, where the French resistance and a cafe owner attempt to keep a branch of The Body Shop supplied with extracts from soothing medicinal plants. That's Aloe Aloe. Later on Gold.
A real treat for younger children on BritBox, with the return of that much-loved character from the 1970s, the sentient colostomy pouch that lives in an antique shop. That's Bag Piss, now available.
Streaming now, George Simonon's Parisian detective is unaware of just how much he's had to drink and begins to sing wistfully. That's Maigret's I've Had a Few, but then again, too few to mention. Now on ITVX.
Marcus.
Next on BBC One, a dramatisation of the biblical figure Noah and his failed attempt to make a bicycle, followed by his first unsuccessful attempt to build a giant boat. That's His Ark's Worse Than His Bike. Tomorrow at
10. Rachel.
Also on BBC One tonight, we'll be revealing the shocking results of a 4-year investigation into exactly what goes into Japanese noodle soup. That's Pano Ramen on BBC One.
Tony.
At 10 o'clock here on Channel 4, a team of celebrity judges have to choose between gardener Monty Don, film producer Carlo Ponti, or model Katie Price. That's Monty, Carlo, or bust at
10. On BBC Two tonight, a hard-hitting documentary following the sufferers of coastal chest infections. That's the Great British Bay Cough. On BBC Two.
Coming up on BBC One, Snoop Dogg presents a new reality house clearance show in which members of the public start clearing out their lofts before giving up and ordering pizza. That's Hash in the Attic.
Next on 4, Phil and Kirsty visit lots of white people whose calling in life is to find the perfect place to go on holiday. That's location, vocation, Caucasian vacation.
Over on BritBox, a rerun of the classic detective series where crimes are solved by a group of jellyfish, all bearing an uncanny resemblance to Patricia Routledge. That's Hetty Wainthropp Invertebrates. Over on BritBox.
Later on Film 4, classic British comedy as Hugh Grant returns from a shower of rain, removes his cagoule, waterproof trousers and galoshes, before his agent calls with news of a part as a chain smoker in a French film. That's 4 Wet Things and a Fumerole. Later on 4.
Hello, this week on Radio 4 we'll be talking about food and encouraging people to throw away one of the most popular herbs used in Mediterranean cookery. That's been our time, just after 9.
Pippa.
Starting soon on BBC One, we go live to the Citizens Advice Bureau to see contestants competing in skimpy underwear emblazoned with images of sea creatures. That's the Bureau's Fish on Thong contest. In half an hour.
Fred. Taking a break from Landscape and Portrait Artist of the Year, Frank Skinner and Stephen Mangan tried to solve a murder where clues have been left on stickers on paintings in the National Gallery. That's Tag Art at 9 o'clock.
Milton.
And now, just before the news on Radio 4, it's time to find out tomorrow's whereabouts of the President of the People's Republic of China in the Xi Ping forecast.
This Sunday on BBC One, a return of the heartwarming drama where a government-employed task force ruthlessly stamp out health professionals specialising in childbirth. That's Cull the Midwife.
Right, strap in. After the broadcasting success of Michael Portillo's great train journeys, Scotland's own Sir Ian Rankin travels from Glasgow to Edinburgh. Firstly, due to a signal failure at Haymarket, he gets a Lothian bus to Edinburgh Park. The train only goes as far as Croy, where his journey is again disrupted and he has to find alternative transport. That's a new series of Rebus.
And now on BBC One, more adventures from the diary of an unusual woman who lives in the 1830s, wears a top hat, but is not all that she seems in Gentleman Jack D.
Tonight on BBC Scotland, the true story of an African explorer who contracted a tropical disease with his mother on an expedition. As they recovered, they regained their appetites, and the programme is named after the telegram they sent to the doctor. That's Livingston 8, Motherwell 2.
Now on ITV4, a rerun of the epic family drama involving an incorrectly reheated lasagna and a series of subsequent toilet trips. That's the Four Shites saga, now on ITV4.